Hello, everybody. I'm the Shark Daymond John, and today we're talking business. Welcome to Entrepreneur Conversations. I am the Shark Daymond John, and today I have the pleasure to speak to Ralph Rolle and his company, and about his company, Soul Snacks. So, what's happening, Ralph?
How you doing, Damon? I'm good, man. How are you?
I am well. I am safe, and I have the pleasure of being on here with another fellow New Yorker, fellow entrepreneur, fellow music lover. I think that you're a little bit more when it comes to music than I am. I know how to play the spoons, maybe, and you've been a career musician most of your life, it looks like. Tell me a little bit about your story. Tell me about that amazing part of your life, and then bring it home to where you're at today with Soul Snacks.
Well, thank you. Well, I started playing drums at a very young age. I was around 8 years old, and my older brother one day just showed up where there was a drum set in our very small room. I grew up in Bronx River houses, where you're probably familiar, where hip hop was one of the hubs of where hip hop started. But at the time when I was coming up, hip hop hadn't even been born yet. So it was about playing music. So the drum set came to the room and I just started playing because my brother was I idolized him. You know, I didn't have a father, so he was the guy. So whatever he did, I did. You know, now at this point, I've worked with a lot of people in the industry, and I'm very proud of that fact that I've gotten this far.
All that stuff is so amazing. And listen, some of the artists you work with, Aretha Franklin, Biggie Smalls, Queen Latifah, Chris Botti, Erykah Badu, Chic, Nile Rodgers, Sting, Bono. So this is an absolutely amazing career. And then you decide with that amazing career that you're going to make cookies.
Yes.
Tell me about the cookies. Tell me about, some people are just never satisfied. Tell me about Soul Snacks.
Well, I started baking cookies at a young age, and it was because I was a shy kid. All of the guys that I hung out with coming up in the projects, they were cool. I didn't feel like I was cool. So I had to figure out some way if I wanted to meet a girl. So my opening was, you talk a little bit, and the next time you see them, you'd have like a little cupcake or some cookies. And, oh, that's so nice. You're so nice, So that's how the cookies got started. I'm watching my grandmother and my mother bake. And after my mother passed away and my girlfriend moved in, around the holidays, we had like 36 people we wanted to give gifts to, but we couldn't afford it. So I said, why don't we just make the cookies? And we made the cookies, gave them out, and everybody was like, wow, these are really, really good. You should think about selling them. And I had thought about it, but I was like, okay, this is the sign. At that particular time, I was working at the Apollo Theater on Wednesdays, and on Tuesdays, I was working at Sylvia's Also, which is Sylvia's restaurant, doing an open mic. Melba's restaurant, Melba was the proprietor, my friend. I called up, I said, Mel, I have this idea. Me and my girl, we want to sell cookies, and I want to premiere them down there. And she said, fine. And brought them down. I mean, it was primitive, beyond primitive. We had brown bags, and we glued the label to the bag. We knew nothing. We gave some away, and the MC for the night, you probably know her. Her name is Shelby. Shelby was the singer with Prince for many years, and she also with D'Angelo, the ballhead girl. So she introduces the cookies. We give them out. Everyone buys them, everyone loves them. And there's a guy sitting at the bar from YSB magazine. And he says, great story here, this professional musician, girlfriend's Juilliard graduate, you're both from the projects, can I do a story? And did the story, so ill-prepared, had no number, nothing to call. So I called my sister and said, I know you have that beeper with the PIN number on it, can we use it? And she said, yeah, you probably get a couple of calls. Well, the article came out, and it was crazy. Every day we were fulfilling crazy orders. And I'm still in my apartment, so now I got to move out of my apartment to find a place. I move across the street to my friend's brownstone. His mother let me convert the above ground basement apartment. And that was our first baking facility. New York Times called. I thought it was a prank call, and I literally hung up on the person. True story. They called me back and said, no, this is really the New York Times. We want to do a story. We heard about the cookies. So that was the beginning of the growth of the Soul Snacks brand. My first client was Dougie Fresh's restaurant and Melba's restaurant, were the first two restaurants we were in. And then it started to go from there, and we started selling cookies all over Harlem.
Sure. So you have a store in New York as well?
I have a factory, cookie factory in New York, and a restaurant as well, both in the Bronx.
And you have a store, is that your store in Tokyo?
The store in Tokyo was mine. It was the Soul Snacks cookie company in Tokyo. It was in Ginza.
Fascinating story. I think we can learn from so much from that story that number one, if you want to impress a young woman, show up with some kind of snack.
Cookies.
It's very sweet and thoughtful. Number two, if you don't have a lot of money to, during the holidays, people don't necessarily need everything that's shiny. If it comes from the heart, as you bake some cookies and send them to everybody, not only did you, obviously show people that you care, but you got a great idea. And to stick with it, even though you have a great career as well, because now you're being satisfied in so many different other areas. So what questions do you have? Is there any kind of question you have about the business or some challenges you have that maybe I can address?
So the two biggest things I think for us is finances and marketing promotion, and probably the right type of infrastructure to move the company forward.
Okay, so those are all three huge topics to hit. Each one of them we could spend an hour on easily. So financing, where are you now? Do you rent the building? Is this a third party, meaning a co-packer who is co-packing for you? Are you employing the people? What is exactly going on there? And where are you selling primarily? Is it, are you distributing to local stores, or are you selling directly online? Or all of both?
The facility we've been in this particular place since 2012. We have a 1,250 foot square factory in the Bronx, the South Bronx, which allows us the ability to bake 24 hours a day if we needed the staff or had the orders to do it. We had a distributor that we lost early in 2019. And trying to find a reliable distributor has been very tough. And at the time, we were selling to stores, hospitals, delis, cafes all over New York, Brooklyn.
And your factory, is it running 24/7?
No, we could definitely max out our factory and employ more people.
The first thing you do when you're looking at finances, to bring in finances, is how can I maximize, because you already have the structure, the infrastructure, to create, but you have a line. How can you maximize that factory 24 hours? Meaning, if it's not your orders, is it somebody else's? Have you ever made for other people out of your factory?
Well, some of the orders that we've done for great performances have been special orders, but most, I would have to say that 90% of the product that we put out is ours with our name on it. But we have thought about baking for other people so we can maximize the time.
Right, because you have an asset there, right? Factory. So you have a large asset right there, and you have manpower that you can scale accordingly and let other people go out and get their orders to bring to you, because then you're splitting hairs if you don't. If you aren't maximizing your facility, you're sitting there saying, well, how can I make more money here? But you already have something that is a core need to, for so many different other people out there, that I believe that is one place where you could be maximizing it, because basically you may make enough profit to basically own that place and your employees for free. So that, what does that do? That increases the margin on your cookies. As for co-packers and other distributors, you said it's challenging, but if you're doing so well, what is the challenge you're having? And are you going after people who are your competitors?
That's a good idea. I wouldn't mind at all working with a co-packer or finding those relationships that could bring us to that next level. But as you know, it's all about the relationships, and I don't have those relationships. I've tried to cultivate those relationships.
Product is king and sales cures all. If you have what are your top 20% of accounts? Where are those stores, and do you know the proprietor or the managers in those stores?
I do, and as I mentioned, when we lost our distributor, we didn't go back that direction because it was a little too tough for us to do that and have the manpower to go out and get to those stores.
Well, the reason I was asking that is because those stores who, if they were having good sell-throughs with your product, you need to talk to them and ask them to suggest co-packers, because what that does is instead of you going to a co-packer and telling them how great your product is, which nobody's going to come to you or anybody and say my product is not great. Co-packer doesn't know if you're telling the truth or not. However, if the store is saying, right, hey, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Co-packer, I'm doing really great with this product here, but he can't get it over to me fast enough or on a consistent level. Do you mind meeting with this man to see if there's a way? Because then the co-packer says, well, wait a minute, I already have a built-in customer here that I already deal with. I have a built-in customer that I'll be able to upsell, and there's already proof of concept because this customer is saying they want the goods. And maybe if I do not distribute to this person, well, maybe that person's going to ask co-packer competition to do it, and now that person has more offerings. So, most of the lines in the brands, as I was doing food with that I acquired, was basically because I walked in the store and the salesperson said to me, you're selling 8 shirts a day and that company's selling 20 shirts a day, but they need more of what you can do behind the scenes. And I would then say, oh, wait a minute, let me call this person because there's opportunity there. You also know some of the world's most famous individuals, and I'm not sure if they want to support you or you may feel funny asking, but it's not a problem to get testimonies from some of these individuals to then find a way to directly put it on your site and grow the business. It sounds like you're intimidated by a lot of the cost out there or the infrastructure of big people. And I think for you to, big companies, I think for you to get a little bit more, a little bit more confident about your product and what you deliver, I think that you really need to start understanding some level of digital marketing. And I'm not saying go out and hire some big agency. I want you to take the time yourself to understand some digital marketing, simple things like Facebook ads, simple things like Instagram. End of the day, you got to maximize that factory. I think you got to go direct to consumer if you're concerned about co-packers and Sodexo or US Foods or any of these companies not taking you on. Because you got to keep that factory running. And if you are stagnant, then unfortunately, you're going to have to close the factory as well.
Right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I will explore those avenues and see what can be done.
Yeah. And when you say you have to know somebody, you know everybody on the planet. There's some of the most influential people. So you already know people. So I want you to get out of your own way.
It's so funny that I always say that when I'm doing my master classes. One of the things I always say is get out of your own way. Don't build your own bricks. Your own walls. Now you got to break them down. I have approached some folks. Nile Rodgers is definitely in my corner, and he's allowed me to videotape him and talk about the product. I've just been waiting for the right opportunity to call upon my other friends.
Yeah, but just that one is enough, right? Tell your story on your site, on social media, have some, you can go on Facebook and you can pay $100 and you can put 10 different ads out for the same $100. One would say, Nile Rodgers' favorite cookie. The other one said, the new famous Amos. The other one said, did you know about the Harlem Renaissance and soul snacks? The other one says this. And you look at all 10 of those, and if you see 2 people responding to this, 7 respond to this, and 300 respond to this, well, then you take this one and you spend $1,000 advertising it and convert it. Right. And that's the way you do it. The social media is really amazing. It allows you to basically give people taste tests of that advertising and marketing and see what converts.
So Daymond, I have a question for you. I've watched you for years. I've watched you when you started FUBU, when from just the concept, and and growing the business, and when you had different celebrities sign on back in the early days. I thought it was all very genius. And now when I see you on Shark Tank and you have your hands, I'm surprised you don't have another 8 hands attached with all the stuff. How do you manage to keep all of these things going at once? How do you do? Because I'm a full-time musician and I teach and I run the restaurant. I know on my side, but yours is a whole nother level. How do you do it?
Yeah, so it's prioritizing and it's finding great people, but it's really learning to say no to a lot of different things. When you have so much opportunity, you can drown in it. And you would have to take inventory on your career, your restaurant, and then the cookie business. You have to put the priorities on what can you afford to drop right now, what can you come back to, and how are you maximizing each one of those areas. And that's only a personal that's only something you can personally answer.
Right. I got you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. That's good information. Thank you, Daymond.
My pleasure.